Everyone deserves the right to a quality of life, and in a palliative situation, it's really important that people get the care and service that they need in the time.
Standing at 16 levels and sitting 100 metres above sea level, High Point Charlestown is set to boast some of the best views of the Hunter.
You get a really good 360 panoramic view across the region, out to Mount Sugarloaf and also to the beaches.
Local developer GWH Build is behind the multi-million-dollar project, which will be located on the corner of the Pacific Highway and Charles Street. It will house 68 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. Real estate agent Dane Crawford says there's already been plenty of interest from people who want to make the shift to apartment living. A trend driven by downsizing and affordability that's been noticeable in inner-city Newcastle in recent years.
We can see a lot of locals doing the exact same thing who like living in Charlestown and they want to stay there, but they don't want the big family home anymore.
Construction is expected to start towards the end of the year. Renee Feder, NBN News.
Moored boats on Lake Macquarie. It's a familiar sight, particularly during the cooler months. But the council and local mariners have charted a course for a busy winter. Preparations are underway for the inaugural Float Your Boat event, a parade on water where boat owners are being encouraged to weigh anchor and get creative.
We're going to lead by example by doing a humpback whale, this one is, but there's a few other animal sea creatures we're going to do on other boats.
The parades are on this Friday and Saturday evening, setting off from Marmong Point and cruising around the northern end of the lake down to Valentine and Belmont. Come the weekend, vantage points across the lake are set to be packed. Onlookers can expect some 25 boats, all fitted out with lights and extravagant structures. Even the mayor is getting involved. She's set to be on a pirate ship.
Looking forward to it, going out from, like I said, Marmong Point, being at the front. I hope the wind's not too bad for me, but yeah, it should be lots of fun.
Kay Fraser believes it's a win for local families and lakeside businesses.
People can watch from their balconies or just come down to the foreshore, bring the family down, bring the kids down and have a look at the beautiful boats and the lights.
If all goes well, Float Your Boat won't be a one-off.
This event's going to grow. It's going to put Lake Macquarie on the map. Ultimately, that's what we want to do.
Alex Heinke, NBN News.
We had a lot of water leaking issues, water absorbent issues. Obviously outside the entrance was all falling apart, so now it's like a brand new centre again.
We recognise they do a lot of good work in the community, with the migrant community, the aged community, the youth, the young mothers. So look, we thought it was worth helping.
Keith Davey, the naturalist, collects 300 reptiles and 2,000 insect specimens for the Australian Museum.
I think as a photographer, what you're trying to do is show people something they haven't seen before, and to sort of intrigue them so that they want to go out and learn more about Australia themselves.
No game, but putting in the hard yards. Some friendly fire from Nathan Ross left Jalen Feeney needing stitches.
I was just turning and then someone whacked Rossi in the knee.
Last Friday, it was Danny Levi's head in the firing line.
I saw the ball coming, but I just couldn't be bothered pretty much lifting my arms to stop it, so I just used my head. I regret that. It looked a bit silly, but it's all for a laugh.
Levi returned to the field to score Newcastle's last try. Feeney's effort in the first half was a milestone.
Off the nudie and first try in NRL, which was good. And, we make our own luck at the end of the day, but I'm happy I could just cross the white line.
It was former Knight Akili Iwate's try that caused the controversy. Nathan Brown wants his side to forget about it.
Would have liked it to go upstairs, but we can't control it. We just got to move on from it.
22-year-old Feeney has already done that. He's focusing on retaining the halfback spot amid talk Newcastle is chasing Cooper Cronk and James Maloney.
They say a half doesn't really excel in the NRL until they're 25, 26, so as long as I can just continue to learn, and if that's behind a quality halfback in Cooper Cronk or James Maloney, then they can only make me better.
Now in the last year of his deal with the Knights, Feeney has no thoughts of leaving.
Everyone knows I love it here, and ever since I come here I sort of never wanted to leave. It's obviously in the club's hands at the moment and my management's hands, but if they're willing to keep me, then I'm willing to stay.
I really hope that, for the defenders' sake, they've improved on their boat speed, because New Zealand have been able to step it up impressively. And, if Oracle haven't improved over the last couple of weeks, they're going to have a run for their money there.
I think that just happens in football, and I didn't have much time to decide what I wanted to do when the opportunity came with Ulsan, and at the time I thought it was the best decision for my family and myself, and yeah. It's looking very positive, and I think just in the end everyone has to work hard, and I'm going to work my hardest and take each game at a time.
It's one of the greatest rivalries in world sport. And it's coming to Newcastle.
It's fast, it's high tempo, and there's a lot of big hits that go on and fights occasionally too.
Tomorrow night, these friendly rivals will turn foes when they line up for Canada and the USA as part of an Australian tour. The Ice Hockey Classic showcases some of the best talent from North America while raising money for charity.
It's high quality hockey, and a lot of these guys play in the NHL. I have played in the NHL and play at high leagues in Europe and things like that. So I think the fans can expect a great game that's high paced and high skill, and should be good for everyone to watch.
My goalie I played with last year, he's going to be the goalie on the USA team. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be good. I'm going to try to sneak one in by him.
Warners Bay Ice Rink is not only colder than these guys are used to, but also bigger, which will only enhance the experience.
A lot of great players, especially on the bigger ice. It's a little bit bigger than back home, so might see some fancier stuff.
Especially here in Newcastle, our fans are really good, so I think a lot of people will be at the game, and they'll have a good match, a good game for sure.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
Classrooms can be boring, but at Caves Beach Public School, students are encouraged to spice things up.
They're diving into a long list of extracurricular activities, including debating.
Debating is educational because you have to persuade the audience and the other team that your argument is better than what the other team's argument is.
or for those who like the outdoors, they can chase sporting endeavours.
It gets kids active, lets their brain have a break, and it also teaches them how to work together.
There are only 2 options on a long list of possibilities on the Success Outside the Classroom program.
One of the biggest battles that you face is making sure children are motivated every day. So if you make school fun, then kids want to learn and they want to come to school.
To watch the full story or get your school involved, head to our website and we could be coming to your school.
I'm Bridget McClear.
And I'm Zach Newman.
Reporting to you
for NBN News Junior Journos.
Hundreds of miners taking a stand against their employer, Glencore.
We as a union want to be able to give our members some certainty that their jobs are not threatened.
These workers handle operations at 7 Hunter Valley mines, but they fear their jobs are in jeopardy due to a growing casual workforce.
There is the real worry that in time we're going to see more and more permanent work disappear.
The CFMEU says half the employees at Glencore's Bulga and Ravensworth open cut mines are on casual contracts. It also says the company's redundancy payment is the lowest in the industry.
They pay base 35 hours. Our members don't work 35 hours. Our members are working on average 43.75 hours a week.
The union says a reliance on a casual workforce is causing poor morale and low safety standards because casual workers are afraid to report any issues for fear of less work in the future.
So what do? They work in unsafe areas, and that's a concern to the union and its permanent workforce.
Glencore told NBN News it's disappointed the action is being taken despite offers of wage increases at each of the sites. Union members will decide this week whether more strikes are needed. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
It's a daily grind the city will be facing for the next 2 years, but Newcastle Council is already eyeing a new light rail plan connecting the region.
If we are going to be a thriving global city in the future, we have to have a matching integrated transport network with light rail at the heart.
The council's plan includes extending the CBD line west to McDonald Jones Stadium, the John Hunter Hospital and the Lake Macquarie Transport Interchange. It also wants tracks heading north to the university and in the long run linking the city to the airport.
It's something that Novocastrians want and need, and it's something this council is going to champion.
But it's a plan that needs the help and, more importantly, the funding of the state government.
We want to make sure they're at the table with council, helping us deliver our vision for an expanded light rail network.
With the light rail system only just taking shape in the CBD, the state says let's focus on the now, but it's open to the idea.
I think the imperative at this stage is to finish the 2.2 kilometres. We've still got a period of time before that is done. That's about 2 years or so. Look, we're very keen to work with them our urban developers, our urban planners will work with them. So I would say watch this space, that plans and those developments will come.
Alex Heinke, NBN News. Empty and unused spaces, it's a lonely sight. But a number of local organisations are strumming up support so these spots thrive.
This is a community-led project. I congratulate Newcastle now on leading this initiative. It's clear that people want to come into Newcastle at night time, they want to feel safe, and we want to give them the built environment that does that.
$175,000 from the state government has been promised to help activate 7 crime hotspots across Newcastle after a recent report showed crime was on the rise. They include Derby Street, Hamilton, Honeysuckle, The Junction, Pacific Park in the East End and parts of the West End.
Police aren't the only people who fight crime. We know from research that architects and others who contribute to our built environment can design public spaces to reduce crime.
Another hotspot identified is here, outside the Crown and Anchor Hotel at the end of the mall. The plan is to build an interactive wall for members of the public. They're also planning to improve lighting and seating options. These plans aren't just a short-term fix for crime. It's hoped they'll bring more people to the area in the long run.
We're looking forward to it. I mean, anything that helps them all move forward, that's always important for us.
Alex Heinke, NBN News.
Even though it's raining outside, and being water smart is often the furthest thing from people's mind in this weather, because we want our water storages as high as possible leading into the hot weather.
He led the Wanderers to their historic Asian Champions League win and was a crucial part of their early domestic success. But there's one thing Nikolai Topol-Stanley hasn't ticked off, and he's desperate to do so in Newcastle.
We had good success, but we never got that grand final win, which is the ultimate in Australian sport. There's no reason, with careful planning and preparation, that the Jets can't be top of the league and win it. And that should be the aim.
After leaving Western Sydney last October, the 32-year-old spent a season playing in the UAE. He says he enjoyed the experience, but the decision to return to Newcastle was a no-brainer. After playing 81 games for the Jets in 3 years, he's excited by the chance to link up with Ernie Merrick.
His record, especially early in the A-League, speaks for itself. He's had plenty of success. So, I'm sure he can bring a sense of drive and winning culture to the Jets.
Topol-Stanley will arrive for the start of pre-season training later this month.
We want an NPL team at home, and we'll take it out to Edgy and introduce them to Jack McLaughlin Oval, mate.
Pullman was part of the Adelaide squad that won the 2013 Championship Grand Final but didn't play in the decider. This year she's a vital member of the Giants. In pre-season, she wasn't certain she'd be in the starting side.
Oh, I think that I was very well aware that I had big shoes to fill. Everyone around me was international players or, played for Australia, played for England, and I guess I was the least experienced.
As she's done all year, Poolman will mark a high-profile shooter on Saturday. They don't come much better than Caitlin Bassett.
She's just a massive target for them and an incredible shooter and definitely experienced, so I'll have my work cut out for me this weekend.
Her impressive performances have Poolman being mentioned as a bolter for the Australian squad.
I'm just incredibly proud to be part of this club and so happy that we've gone through to the grand final and in the first season, and not many players get to play in a final series or a grand final, so that's where all my focus is at the moment.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
"1 a.m. on Sunday, Newcastle's Beaumont Street erupts. The pair are ushered away while concerned onlookers rush to check the condition of those hit. They somehow escaped serious injury.
It does look quite graphic. At this stage we're unsure, it's unknown why the incident occurred.
Crowds lined the deck of the Kent Hotel to film the carnage, and from the street as well. Bystanders say it wasn't the only fight in the area, but it was certainly the most publicised. Videos of the brawl have now gone global, viewed hundreds of thousands of times. Security guards from the Kent Hotel can be seen watching on just metres away. Police say they did the right thing. It's far from the first violence in this area, but the Hamilton Business Chamber says that number is on the decline. It's doing everything it can to make sure that continues.
I don't believe it's a regular occurrence now because of the work that the police are doing with the chamber. And there's security cameras on the pubs and some of the business owners there, but it'll be great to have more security cameras.
Police say they do have clear pictures of those involved in this latest incident.
So we've obviously clearly got their image of the persons, and it probably won't take too long before we identify who they are. So ideally we'd really like for them to present themselves at the police station.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
The Premier a long way from Sydney, but surrounded by familiar faces. State Cabinet convened in Singleton this morning at the invitation of Mayor Sue Moore, and it paid off, particularly in terms of the council's $7 million plan for Stage 2 of the town centre revitalisation project.
Pretty much been assured that there'll be a positive outcome for us for the remaining funds.
But not everyone was happy. Police were called as a precaution as a group of locals vented their frustration over plans to expand several Hunter mines.
We came today so that the New South Wales Cabinet could not just sneak into Singleton without at least getting an understanding that there are people that are living in hell. Those of us living near coal mines, communities that were there before the mines expanded, are living in hell, and there is no recognition of our problems with this government.
That soon came, with Planning Minister Anthony Roberts hearing them out.
You're being listened to. You're being listened to.
Today's visit also saw a raft of announcements ahead of next week's budget.
The New South Wales Government is dedicating $1 billion to secure water security in regional and rural New South Wales.
We'll be able to see projects like the Scone wastewater treatment facility, the Scone to Murrundi pipeline. They're the types of projects that are going to benefit.
More than 170 new buses will also be purchased statewide, which will result in 100 additional weekly services across the Hunter region. Emma Murphy, NBN News. The Transport Minister in Newcastle with a light rail announcement that's been a long time coming.
We will be starting mid-September. We will be completing by the end of 2018. We'll have trains on tracks come early 2019. Great news for the people of Newcastle.
But calls by Newcastle's Lord Mayor to extend the network aren't sitting well with Andrew Constance. The Minister unleashing a tirade against New Atali Nelms before gathered media.
To now call for it to be expanded, I think is a bit rich. The bottom line is, as we all know, the machinations within the Labor Party between Crackers and New Atali is well known, and we know that she wants his job. So she's now using this project as a platform to say, let's have more talking groups. I mean, fair income, the corridor, open space, affordable housing, the university. For goodness sake, get on and support this project before you start calling for the expansion of it. I think the council just needs to, quite frankly, grow up and get on and back this project.
Do you want Tim Crackenthorpe's job?
Look, Minister Constance has to understand that when ministers based in Sydney or Bega come up to Newcastle, they should not bring their Sydney politics up here. The politics in the bear pit in Sydney should stay in the bear pit in Sydney.
We're being warned to expect a lot of disruption here along Hunter Street as construction gets underway, but businesses are being assured pedestrian access will still be available.
Buses will soon be moved off Hunter and Scott Streets. The start date for new bus routes will be confirmed in coming weeks. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
They've had a few attempts, but the Knights have finally landed another big name.
He's a winning player. He's won grand finals and obviously won Origin series. He was keen to come here, which is pleasing, and he comes from a really good club, a club that's generally a top sort of 4 or 5 team. So that was really important as well.
It was the 29-year-old who approached the club, ready for the task of turning its fortunes around.
Aidan said he's certainly up for the challenge, and we're quite confident and quite hopeful that, coming to a club that has, I suppose, lesser profile players and a lot less experience, that he'll accept that responsibility and carry it well.
The deal comes a day after Jack Bird claimed he didn't come to the Knights because he says they couldn't sign anyone.
Jack's still only 22, and if Jack did come, Jack would have helped attract people. Jack probably didn't realise that himself.
More signings could now be on the way. Talks are progressing with Guerra's Roosters teammate Connor Watson and Broncos prop Herman Esiesi. There's also the case of Sean Kenny-Dow, released by the Tricolours after being accused of cocaine possession. A decision on whether Newcastle will pursue him will be made after court proceedings.
When certain incidents happen, the decisions go beyond myself. I wouldn't say it's a no or yes in that situation. I'd just say that it's probably an open situation, I suppose.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
I just didn't like the way that I looked, and it just wasn't me. I'm not that type of person, and in reflection to that, after calling Cameron, and I actually apologised to him on how things were handled, and it was actually a time where I got to forgive and forget and move on.
Flanagan missed the cut during his first appearance at the Open in 2004. Last year he caddied for good friend Aaron Price.
He carried the bag, and when I asked the question, he gave me an honest answer, and that's all I was asking.
This year the roles will be reversed, with Price missing out and Flanagan earning a spot through a qualifying tournament. The 33-year-old is ready to put a tough stretch behind him.
I had a lot of things going on the last couple of years. Got married last year. We moved back to Texas from Florida and bought a house, and just been busy, which has been good for my golf.
Practicing less and playing more in the past year has also helped his game. Like every player in the field, Flanagan would love to win the Open, but the goal is to use the experience to regain the form that helped him win the US Amateur title and 4 events on America's second tier.
Just trying to really enjoy it and not kind of get too far ahead of myself and not put pressure on myself, and just kind of muck around with this idiot all week, and it'll be fun.
Local league officials have created the so-called Futures Rounds to showcase the next generation, moving the under-19 games closer to first grade and exposing them to media attention. At the launch, CEO Matt Harris unveiled another benefit.
I think we need to, both the Knights and Newcastle Rugby League need to demonstrate to the players that if you're not in the NRL system, it doesn't mean that it's all over, and there are other opportunities.
A good performance in either of the 2 rounds could see these teenagers on the path to a professional career.
So we'll have our guys at each of the games, and we'll select a player from each side, so that'll be 8 this week and 8 in rounds 14, and they'll be given invitations to trial for the Knights under-20s for 2018.
For most, it's a dream scenario.
The boys will push hard to get in there. Like, all the boys are really keen to have a crack at that. Like, a couple of boys are looking at it already.
This will give us a good incentive to really rip in and go well in the next few weeks ahead. And especially for those boys that really want that opportunity, it's great. It's great for them.
I'd love to play South first grade for this year, and if I got a chance to play with Newcastle, I'd take it for sure.
This Saturday's game was already a special one for Curry. The under-19s will play under lights at 5 o'clock. But before kick-off, Mark Hughes and his family will join an effort to raise money for his foundation by trying to break the world record for the most people wearing a beanie in one place.
Everyone after the first grade will be on the field and getting the numbers counted to see how many people are there, trying to break that world record.
It's been in the pipeline for a decade, and now there's light at the end of the tunnel for the long-awaited first section of the Lake Macquarie Transport Interchange. Construction on the $28 million project started in July 2015. Fast forward 2 years, and the 2-kilometre stretch is set to open in the next couple of days.
We're just going through the final checks and balances at the moment, and we're hoping to open to public access very soon.
10,000 vehicles a day are expected to use the road. The link between Cardiff and Glendale will not only shorten travel times, but also connect people to Stockland Glendale and the Hunter Sports Centre.
It's a catalytic piece of infrastructure that's going to open up future economic growth to the Western Corridor, the side of the Lake Macquarie area.
While this first section is all but complete, the next part is still waiting on funding. Council hopes next week's state budget will deliver. The Pennant Street Bridge stage connecting the Cardiff industrial area to Cockle Creek. It's estimated to cost around $32 million.
Council have committed $6 million of that, and we're seeking $13 million each from the state and federal governments.
Renee Feder, NBN News.
It's about supercharging creative solutions, and those creative solutions all about bringing people from many different disciplines together in one space to answer commercial problems.
It's been a long, tiresome battle for Save Our Rail. Now the High Court has signalled the end of the fight, upholding a ruling the group must pay the state government close to $1 million in legal fees.
We're relieved it's over. It allows us to focus on the job at hand.
Headed by Joan Dawson, Save Our Rail tried everything in its power to stop the closure of the Wickham to Newcastle heavy rail line. In December 2014, there was hope, the group winning a Supreme Court hearing, seeing the state government handed an injunction preventing removal of the rail line without an Act of Parliament.
But almost a year later, the Court of Appeal ruled the government didn't need to enact legislation to close just 2 kilometres of track and ordered the group to pay the state's legal costs.
A suggestion Save Our Rail has long laughed at.
It's absolutely impossible to pay anything like that. What could they possibly do with our second-hand printers and our second-hand gazebo and our few $100s?
The Hunter Development Corporation just glad work on transforming the city centre can continue peacefully.
I'm focused on moving forward. We've cleared up all of that now. We can get on and deliver for the people of the Hunter.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Out of the boots and straight into the hard work. Jamie Burer is back and desperate to return for the Knights.
It's coming along, mate. It's a little slower than I'd originally anticipated. I was able to complete a bit of a run yesterday on the field, which was good.
He isn't putting a time frame on when his fractured foot will be fully healed.
It's a matter of making sure that when I'm back, I stay back. It's the type of injury that you've got to be a little bit careful with. Yeah, really difficult. Seeing how close the boys have been in games, and then some of the games where we haven't been, it's just horrible watching. I suppose I get more nervous watching, and I'm doing as much as I can off the field while I can, to help in any way.
That sums up Burer's passion for his new club. After arriving from Manly, he quickly took on a leadership role and is confident the side is developing. Despite what others think, Jack Bird saying this week Newcastle won't make the finals for another 3 years.
That's Jack's opinion. He's entitled to it. And us as a team, we feel like it's a much more realistic and achievable goal than he obviously does.
The outlook is even brighter with Aidan Guerra's signing.
So, it's exactly what we need at this club, and hopefully we get a few more to fall.
And while he does support Dane Gagai, his departure's a blow.
Oh, it's bitterly disappointing. Yeah, there's no two ways about that.
It goes to show just how close-knit this side is and the belief they're on the rise.
It's not just we're saying it, the players are training it and they're preaching it and they're doing it. And as I said, I don't think we're far away from really turning it around.
Good to get experience and good to show that you can mix it internationally against the other countries. So, yeah, always good to get a start in any Australian team, but the ultimate goal, is to make that the open world team and hopefully get away and get a race in.
I think it will be a tough night for us, but yeah, this is why we wanted to start this foundation, and yeah, we want to be that second hand kind of help around the town.
Rob Eade likes taking the road less travelled. The 72-year-old Vietnam veteran and his faithful companion are honouring 12 hunter men and women. Most of them he doesn't know, but there are some he does.
One bloke there's Terry Langlands. I went to school with him. He was a lovely kid, very emotional, especially when I get very, very close to... Terry was a close friend and I had one in Sydney, and
These flags are among 600 others, each representing a serviceman or woman who have died since Vietnam or any conflict since. They've been on the road nearly a year and laid just over half of them. Starting in Perth, they headed east, visiting Victoria and Tasmania, and now into New South Wales. Next, they'll make their way through Queensland and the top end before finishing back in Perth, hopefully by next year. It hasn't been the smoothest of rides. The pair had to spend a night in a horse stable.
I had a bed inside, but I said, can my dog come in? They said, no. I said, fine. She said, well, the dog can go in the horse stables. I said, that's where I'll sleep. It was the coldest night I've ever had, and thank God for horse blankets.
Some people would say he's barking mad, but Rob isn't doing it for the living.
I just hope that I do the boys and girls proud. That's all I'm after. I'm not after accolades or fame or anything like that, just as long as they know that I'm doing it because I want to do it, not because I've been told to do it.
Alex Heinke, NBN News.
For the past 4.5 years, the ground floor of the old David Jones building has been a place for creative businesses. 39 have used the site in that time.
It has had an enormous amount of activity in there, and I think that's what Renew is about, keeping activity in underutilised space.
The building was sold last November, with developer Iris Capital planning to transform the site into apartments and commercial space. As it enters a new chapter, it draws to a close the Emporiums, today marking its final day.
It's been great for us to be able to keep it alive and keep it colourful and give people opportunity to try things.
News that a DA has now been lodged for the redevelopment of the old DJ's building has been met positively by retailers. They're hopeful about what it might mean for the future. Clothing designer Brie Lacey Bickham has recently moved from the Emporium to her own store in the mall.
It was great having the Emporium in there for the time that it was there, and good to be able to use the building, but it will be nice to see what it turns into in its next phase.
While Frontline Hobbies has been in the East End for the past 40 years, owner Colin Scott believes the redevelopment will breathe new life into the area.
It certainly gives everyone hope in the city. The businesses have been doing it tough over those years, and to redevelop an icon like the DJ's building certainly is a great news.
Renee Feder, NBN News. An icy plunge that felt as cold as it looked.
Yeah, hit me very hard when you first enter, but once you're in there, I think you go numb and everything's fine.
10 local personalities sliding into the pool for Newcastle's first big freeze for motor neuron disease.
A lot of people say, like going into ice water freezes your muscles up, and that's what MND does. It removes the muscles so you can't move anymore.
Real estate agent Leah Jay, one of those taking the plunge. She's passionate about raising awareness of the disease.
It's important to get the word out. My son Elliot passed away of motor neuron disease in 2008. Back then nobody knew about the disease. It's all towards making people aware so we can find a cure for this disease.
Batman and the Blues Brothers also took on the Chili Challenge. And after helping all the participants into the pool, it was the Lord Mayor's turn. The event has raised more than $80,000 so far, and there's hope that'll exceed $100,000 by the end of the weekend.
We want it to stop. We want to bring awareness, funds and a cure.
Renee Feder, NBN News.
It's the first time the Wanderers and Hamilton have met since last year's grand final. The reigning premiers, led out by Peter Bakarich, who was playing his 200th game for the club. But it was the Wanderers with a point to prove, and they were first on the board after being awarded a penalty try. The Hawks' Kyle Ward sent for 10. The two Blues were through again, Dylan Rowney putting Tim Marsh away. Hamilton wasn't going to lie down, but the Wanderers crept further ahead. The home team went on the attack, and this time it was the Wanderers with one in the bin. The Hawks crossed, then went again only minutes later. Nothing was going right for the Wanderers, receiving their second yellow card of the half. And this effort from Steve Sione was salt in the wound. The score's 15-all at half-time. It was a fiery start to the second half, and the Hawks drew first blood. Wanderers captain Luke Simmons closed the gap to 2. With minutes to go, the Wanderers had 2 chances, but didn't take them. The Hawks holding on 20-18 winners, making it extra special for the man of the moment.
I had a few tears on the way out, but it was good that the boys turned up for me today and really put the effort in for me. So, yeah, and it was just a good all-round win for us, gutsy effort.
Alex Heinke, NBN News.